Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pits of Metal and Motorcast. This is your host, Dave. In a minute or two, I have a special guest, Alex Miladinovich, Nitro Funny Car driver on here with me. So, let me call him up and get him on here, and let's get this interview going. Hold on.
Dave, good afternoon.
Alex, you live on the Pits of Motorcast. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, no problem. So how was the switch over from going to Nostalgia Funny Car to Big Show Funny Car?
Oh, man, it was great. It was awesome. Everybody that raced Nostalgia that has driven Top Fuel cars all said, "Are you crazy? Are you stupid?" And Dentrum even said, "Man, we got to check your temperature." But I really knew deep down inside, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to drive one of these. The John Force Oldsmobile with Flames was a car that really changed my life. And the Nostalgia Series was a great stepping stone and provided a good opportunity for me to cut my teeth and get in a full-blown AA Top Fuel Nitro Funny car. Learning how to drive, learning just nitro methane. A lot of my experience was around blown alcohol motors. And making the switch, yeah, it was something that blew your mind. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I really had a really good time doing it. And going to the Hot Rod Reunion and the March meet, the money it cost to get in with the tickets and everything, I just parlayed that money into nitro spare parts. And that really afforded me a chance to go to Pomona and race. And it gave me an avenue to be on TV. And when we raced at Pomona, I could go home and sleep in my own bed. But all the TV time that our sponsors got, they were really happy and pleased with what they saw. And they said, "Alex, let's go. Let's go to Indianapolis. Let's do that 2-race deal. We want to make it happen." And I was very fortunate. Everyone worked hard, real proud and real happy to be there.
Yeah, I saw you lined up with Matt Hagan for one of your races.
Matt Hagan is one of the best drivers in the world, and man, you go shake his hand. It was like an oak tree. I'm like, oh my God, is this Hulk Hogan here? I mean, the man's just as fit as could be. And we tried to bring our A game, but at Pomona, we still only had 25 runs on our chassis. We built the car ourselves, and Kevin Pointer, our crew chief, is seeing what he can and can't get away with. And we were testing in Las Vegas the week before the Winter Nationals when I got my license. And I literally had $18 in my checking account, a 30-pack of beer, and everybody said, "Hey, Alex, we're doing this. You're going to Las Vegas. We got one last chance to do this." And he said, "Don't come back without a license. And when you do it, we got it." It was very emotional, very happy, and very proud.
Yeah, you're still the little guy on the totem pole right now, just like Mike McIntyre and his team.
Yeah, being the new guy, I know my place in drag racing. Mike McIntyre, they're great guys. A lot of my crew raced with them when they raced with John Hale in the IHRA, and they're great guys. We partied with them. We partied a little bit more than we should have in the off time, but being the little guy, I'm okay with it. I'm having fun. All my sponsors, they're my friends I went to high school with. They have my back, and we can sit and have shots of whiskey and shots of tequila and talk about it. We don't have to be polished. We don't have to be this showtime. We're human beings. We make mistakes, and being the little guy, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's always fun to root for the underdog.
Yeah. Being the underdog is cool. My big concern is what happens if I strike gold and I get, the big money. Are people not going to like me anymore? I don't know, but it's something I'll have to contend with as long as I don't have to work weekends anymore. I work down on the docks. I'm a mechanic, and I still work weekends to make all that extra overtime. Yeah. So I guess I'll know when I've made it when I don't have to work on Sundays.
Yeah, people got to remember that even if you become a big NHRA driver, you're still just a regular guy, just like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. I got to worry about retirement and all that stuff. You know, Jim Dunn, I became good friends with him. He's way cool. And he said growing up, I was loading bales of hay, and he'd make pretty good money because farming in Southern California back in the 60s was still pretty good. And when he became a fireman, and they go, why are you becoming a fireman? You can make more money farming. And he goes, because I'm getting older and the hay trucks are getting longer, and I need a job with a retirement, because I spent all my money on this damn funny car. So just taking a chapter out of his book and trying to still, be true to the sport and, true to who we are.
Now, do you think the Forces are going to come back this year in NHRA?
You know what? I haven't heard anything. I haven't even heard a rumor. They've been pretty tight-lipped. My feeling is they may sit the season out because of the financial struggles, and they only get paid if they run their car. And John's on the light side of 70, and he's probably concerned for the safety of his family with the COVID. And he may just scratch this year and start over in 2021. He's always been a hero of mine, and height, and the girls and Proc, they're the best drivers in the world. I kind of thought they'd at least make an announcement. I would have liked some closure. Again, I look up to these people, and I expected a John Force to say, "Hey, we can't make it out. We'll be back." And again, he's the best in the business, and every time I feel like I can't go on. I just remember the John Force said, "They took my money away. I lost all my sponsors. I crashed. I was down." And then he goes, "But I came back." And I always remember that. Force will be back. No doubt about it in my mind.
Yeah, it's good to see Tony Schumacher come back this year.
Yeah, Tony Schumacher, having him back. Corey McClenathan, I grew up as a kid watching him race and seeing him out there. It was great to have the Schumacher car back, and he's the champ. Unfortunately, I'm still a huge fan. I didn't have a chance to go out and watch any of it. We were working on the car. The only thing is we lost in the first round to J.R. Todd, and Marcy and I went and we stood behind Alexis, the Worsham team. They're friends of ours, and we went and supported them, and we went and stood behind them when Alexis went to the second round.
Now, how did the Hot for Teacher name come about?
Well, it all started when the Nostalgia series came about. Everyone was naming their cars, and I wanted to call the car Contraband because I work in shipping, and I thought it'd been a cool name. And I'm a huge rock and roll fan.
Van Halen?
And that was, yep. And also, Contraband was the name of a Velvet Revolver album. And, that was Slash, Duff,
Yeah,
and Scott Weiland. And they started Velvet Revolver, so their one album was called Contraband. So I thought it was a cool musical tie-in, and then it was tied into my work. And Marcy goes, "That's lame. I hate that name." So I'm like, okay, where am I going to go with this? Another favorite song, Saint Anger by Metallica. It's just the song that makes you think you can punch a hole in a piece of steel. That didn't work. She hated that. I'm like, all right, forget it. I'm going Hot for Teacher, final answer. And she goes, okay, I can live with that. So Marcy is a teacher. I'm a huge Van Halen fan. And I actually ran into Michael Anthony at Pomona, the bassist. And I think I scared the hell out of him because he was hanging out in the RV section with Ron Capps down at the finish line. They have a private section, and my friends, the crew on the car, have their RV out there, and I was so excited to meet him. I think I scared the shit out of him. So, anyways, long story short, I said we're going to call it Hot for Teacher. Marcy's still a teacher. She's still working at the school district, and I just thought, you know what? All the years she's been teaching, she always gets letters. Mrs. M, thank you. I'm in college. I graduated. We went to a graduation at USC a few years back from one of her students, and it was a real honor, and I thought that would be a cool tie-in to promote kids staying in school, education, and also include Marcy in when the racing, because of all the money we spend, So it's a good tie-in.
Yeah. You don't have your big sponsors on a car like all the other big guys. It stands out, like kids will recognize it. Oh, there's Hot for Teacher,
Yep, I always thought it'd be cool, like Tom Mongoose McEwen and
Yeah,
Don Snake Dome, and I just thought I could bring it back old school.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like the old days.
Yeah,
And again,
Jungle Jim and everybody. Yeah.
Yep, Jungle Jim. I'm still a huge drag race fan, and I thought the musical tie-in, because basically the crowds that go to the drags, it's the party crowd, and we've been having a lot of fun with it.
So do you guys have any sponsorship right now?
Well, we have redshirtfriday.com. That's a charity. We're trying to get everyone in America to wear red shirts on Friday to respect our troops and remember all of our brothers and sisters who are deployed. And Coach Holman, a friend of mine, is paying for it. And when he sells the T-shirts, that money is support veterans programs. And we have Boss Strong Box. They make gun storage for vehicles. We, of course, have Redline Oil. Battery Connection, they've been really good to us. They have batteries, anything you need. Watch, car batteries, they're on board. PI Motorsports, they make Panteras. And they restore, he sells and services Panteras. And an interesting story, my dad was an auto shop teacher, and Jerry Sackett, who owns PI Motorsports, was one of his first-year students when my dad first started teaching. And that was a cool tie-in. We got Pacific Performance. They're like a speed shop. We got Ellen and Lennon. They make they make uniforms, and they service for restaurants, tablecloths, all that. Cortinas, they make the Cortinas is an Italian market and pizzeria. Advanced Services. They've been good to us. And again, these are all my friendlies. Versteg Trucking. And I'm going through the list to make sure I didn't forget any. Curtis Speed, he makes rims. He used to work for legendary Boyd Coddington, and Mike makes his custom rims for hot rods and Harley Davidson. And there's just too many to list. We got them all, and they've been really good to us. Poncho's, little Mexican restaurant in the city of Orange. All those people is really what made it happen. And we're having a big party at my house tomorrow. And they're all invited, and we're going to have a great time.
Nice. So now let me rewind the clock with you, Alex, and ask, how did you get into drag racing in the first place?
It all started, I was in high school. My brother said, hey, we're going to drags. And I said, can I come? He goes, yeah, get in. I had $18. I didn't have any money. We went there, and it was the coolest thing. We went to Pomona, the Winter Nationals. I was like, oh, my God. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I grew up around cars. My dad was a shop teacher, and he was always restoring old hot rods and things. And going to Pomona and seeing the funny cars, and John Force doing the big burnout, Ed McCullough, Kenny Bernstein, Dean Scusa, all this cool stuff. That's literally changed my life. I said, that I don't know what that is or how do I do it. I said, I'm gonna go drag racing. The next day, I went to school and I asked all my teachers to sponsor me to build a funny car, and they're like, "What?" I'm serious. I'm going drag racing, and that was the start. It was the trip to Pomona in 19. Let's see how old I am. 1991. My brother took me to 16 years old.
So what was your first drag race car?
I had a front engine dragster, and it was an original Top Fuel car built by Woody Gilmore. And I bought it from a guy, and they converted it to a super comp. Had a carbureted Chevy in it, and it would run 890s. So I have that, and I just graduated high school, and I worked 30, 40 hours a week, and I took all my money to go to Palmdale and try to enter a bracket race. And I said, "Yeah, you know what? I want to run the nostalgia with the blowers and stuff." And so we started doing some homework, and my brother and I started building a blown 383 Chevy on alcohol. And then we started running the 760 index, in the Nostalgia series, and that was my first car, a 1968 Woody Gilmore Top Fuel car. It was awesome.
So did you have any success with that car?
Oh no, I was horrible, man. I chased my tail, man. I ran that car, my parents' gas card, and the job. Shoot, man, I made $50 a week working at an Earl's dealer in Orange. You know, TMR. They sold the little AN fittings.
Right.
So I worked because I was going to junior college, trying to take business classes, and it was horrible. I went to my first March meet. It took me like 7 years to get there. I go to the March meet. I go out. I crack off. Now it's an index. And on the 760, I ran a 759 with a 9. And I DQ'd. I oiled down the track because I broke my transmission. I cracked the housing. And I was like, oh my, are you kidding me? It took me 7 years to get to the March meet. And I missed it by 1,000th of a second. So.
Wow.
That was pretty wild. And then after that, what I did is I said, well, this car, it's a 30-year-old Top Fuel car. This thing belongs in a museum. So what I did is I copied it. My dad taught me how to weld. I worked for Frank Galdana, a friend of mine, part-time. We built nostalgia cars, roadsters, and really focused on altered. And he goes, Alex, you could build your own car. I'll show you how to do it. Showed me how to cut and fit tubing. So I copied that car. And we ran it in the vintage A fuel class in the Nostalgia series. And I didn't have very much success with it either. However, when I did sell the car won 2 championships. So that's why I figured when we do this Top Fuel stuff, I better bring on a crew chief because I'm basically a glorified welder.
So now you ran that car for 7 years?
Well, we ran let's see, that was the black car. We ran that for about 3-4 years until 2008. I sold it, and then I started building the funny car, and in 2009, we had the orange and white Hot for Teacher Mustang. Now, for a brief period, Dennis Swearingen, the Nitro Cowboy, drove it, and we campaigned it as the Nitro Cowboy before we switched over to Hot for Teacher. And then we ran that Hot for Teacher till 2015. I sold that, and I actually started building the Top Fuel, the AA car. I started that in 2015. I got the chassis specs from SFI. Started building the new chassis, and away we went. And what is it? So 4 or 5 years later, we tested all last year, so we still had about 20 runs under our belt, trying to really be prepared to go to a national event. And everyone's hard work paid off because we got into Pomona, and the rest, here we are now.
So are you going to do any heritage stuff on the side at all?
You know what? I'm not going to. This big car takes everything out of me. However, one of my crew members did drive the Warhorse, Robert Markworth, also known as Big Dummy. We're trying to get the money together to buy the Warhorse. Hopefully we can get that back and run it. Rob hopes to do that someday, and if we do, I told him I'm on board. We have all the equipment. We got the trailer and all the tools, so we would do this as a group, and Rob's going to drive. Other than that, if someone asked me, I would, but I couldn't campaign a car.
I thought maybe you could do like one event a year like Ron Capps does.
Yeah, nobody ever wants me to drive their stuff. I'm too tall. I'm 6 foot. And, guys like Capps and Mike Halstead, they can jump into anything. And, it's hard being that tall. If someone asked me, I would, I guess. I love driving. But right now, my heart's in Top Fuel right now.
So what's the quickest pass you made with the Big Show car so far?
We went 434, 279 miles an hour. And that was the quickest we've ever been. And Pointer told me, he goes, Alex, when this clutch goes 1-to-1, you got to be prepared that it's like the race is going to start over. So from 300 foot on, as the clutch came in, it's boogieing down the track. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what he's talking about. And it was like the race restarted from 300 feet to 1,000. It was like, oh man, it was a wild ride.
So now, after all these years of drag racing, what still keeps you passionate about doing it, Alex?
Yeah, it's just the love of the sport. We got 16 of my buddies, my brother, my wife. We're all involved. We hang out. We party together. We work on the car. We all have our separate lives, but I just like hanging out with my friends. Really, we have a good time. Now, all the racing people, all the guys on the Colettas, the Schumacher, those guys, Worsham's team. There's basically all of them. Tim Wilkerson. They've been so good to us, and they're like our extended friends and family. And I just love hanging out with everybody. If I was rich, I don't know. I'd like the whole world to do this, you know.
Now, who are all the crew members for the car?
We have Rob Markworth, Big Dummy. He's our car chief. Kevin Pointer is the crew chief. We have Matt Baldonado on the bottom end. Conrad Bigelow. We got Keith Koss, Vince Urieta, Gary Potacan, Ron Versteeg, Don Merritt, Marcy Miladinovich, and I have a few substitutes. We got Del Fowler and Robert Hansen, and let's see, did I get everybody? Shane Studley. He's an old super stock racer out of Utah. I've known him since my first dragster, and that's the crew. Love them to death.
Now, the funny car body, what make and model was the body?
The current one's a Toyota Camry. It was one's Cruz Petragon's old body, and one was Tony Petragon's, and I bought them from Davis, the owner, Dustin Davis of Justin Ashley's car.
Now, what gallon fuel pump you running on that?
We got a 110-gallon pump on that thing. It's ridiculous. Have you ever seen on YouTube the NHRA display of a fuel pump?
Yeah, yep, I've watched that before.
This thing, staging, it's stupid. 34 gallons per minute at idle. And at the step of the throttle, it shoots up to 58. And then from there on, it's just ridiculous. Every time I learn more about these cars, I'm like, oh my God, had I known, what was I thinking? Densham was right. This was crazy. But having the big fuel pump, those things are badass.
Yeah, so how do you like seeing that big header flame next to you when you're running?
It's awesome. Words can't explain it. You know, it's just like someone can tell you about sex or eating ice cream, what it's like, but until you do it, it's the best thing ever. You stomp the throttle and you just feel the raw power. It's just unbelievable. When they talk about horsepower, if you walk up to a horse and you just feel how much stout, how powerful this thing is. Oh, there's 10,000 more of those babies, and it's awesome. We're trying to bring back whacking the throttle. Worsham's team's doing it, Scott Palmer's, and we got T-Bone, you know, the guy that yells all the time, T-Bone from Las Vegas. This guy goes to every drag race and always yelling at us to whack the throttle. So we got a few in at Indy.
So what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
No, well, I don't like paying the bills, I can tell you that. You know, the camaraderie with the fans, you know, I love running the car down the track and the adrenaline rush. That's truly the love that got us there. And everything else is just icing on the cake. I mean, I'm in my trailer when I was licensing. I have Dale Worsham, Mickey Bonafonte hanging out with us. I'm like, holy smokes. John Force came over to me to sign my license. Ron Cap, he had did that video on Competition Plus. That was words can't even explain it. I was shaking, and I just get to hang out with my childhood heroes. It was really, really awesome.
Now, what do you hate most about drag racing? Probably the money, right?
Paying the bills. Yeah. Dennis Taylor makes all the safety equipment, told me, Alex, I loved everything when I strapped me into the car and I hit the chutes. He goes, everything else was just business. But it just goes with the territory. You know, you got a good job, you pay taxes, you know, anything else. You love hot showers, you got to dry yourself off and get out and be cold. But truly a 4-second love affair.
Now, if you were able to have your fans remember one thing about you, what would that one thing be that you want them to remember about you?
I want to inspire somebody. My dad, you're going to make me cry. My dad was an auto shop teacher. He always said, everywhere I went, people said, man, I was going to drop out of school. I was going to quit school, but in auto shop, I could do a good job. And your dad always said, stay in school. So,
yeah.
I'm sorry, getting all choked up here. I don't know why. But if I can do that to somebody, to have them follow a dream, whether you want to play guitar, play the drums, you want to fly airplanes, whatever you want to do, if I can pass that to somebody, I thought that would be cool.
Yeah. Now, what drag racers were your biggest influences?
Oh, John Force all the way. Del Worsham, and just those guys, they came from out of nowhere, didn't have a lot of money, and they made it happen. Those two guys just always inspired me.
Now, how did it feel to go down the track for the first time in the Big Show funny car?
Oh man, it was awesome. The data recorder was 4.7 Gs at the step of the throttle, and the first full pass, you're hauling the mail and it's boogieing down the track, and then you hit the chutes, and then everything just goes negative. Like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Well, it would do negative 5 Gs when the chutes come out, and 4.7 at the step of the throttle.
Wow.
It was it's an incredible feeling.
It's a big adrenaline rush, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Now, when you're out there on the starting line, you know, when you're getting strapped in, all that good stuff, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there?
Nah, I've never been superstitious or that type of guy. I've always been the one that I can't take it too serious. Like, I'm not the rock star. I'm just an average guy. If I'm out there, if I'm having fun, I can have the world licked. I just get in the car, I try to breathe, calm down, you know, like, they always say, you know, like when guys meditate, you just focus on your breathing. That's all I really do. Just try to stay focused. And again, I strapped in the car, and Daryl Gwynn goes cruising by, and I'm like, oh my God, there's Daryl Gwynn. And Kevin always pokes his head in the car, gives me a big inspirational speech, and that's really it. I'm not superstitious or anything.
Now, there's a lot of preparation going to getting this Big Show car ready for a weekend?
Oh, yeah. We're going to unload this weekend. We're going to wash everything. Got a lot of work to do on... I probably need $7,000 worth of clutch discs and floaters, and we got to spend some money there. We got to strip the motor we ran. We probably need a new crank. My brother checks all the rod tolerances. The guys pull the heads apart. We wash everything. We relap in the valves, check the valve springs, recheck the pressures in the nozzles. That's key. Just regular car maintenance. And the only thing that's really exciting is we got our YouTube channel on Alex Miladinovich. Just some of the stuff that we normally do, wash the clutch, grind all the surfaces, and make sure everything is like new. So for our next outing, we're swinging for the U.S. Nationals. Just trying to get ready for that.
Now, do you have any favorite tracks?
You know what? Famoso and Bakersfield, the Auto Club Speedway's got to be my favorite. Grew up going there as a kid. The March meet is very special to me. It's the history there. One of the longest running races in the U.S. That's a great track Blake and his dad own and maintain. And I love all the staff there. Those guys are great.
Now, with the current, COVID-19, do you still get a lot of people coming to the pit areas?
We did. NHRA changed it up a little bit, and all the keyboard ninjas on the internet kind of put them on blast. They did a really good job. They spaced all the teams out in the pit, so we had like an extra car space. they painted a line 6 feet away from the trailer door, and we have those crowd control because we put all the clutch discs at the end after a run. We don't want little kids trying to touch them or anything. We had an additional 6 feet, and we wore the masks, and they had a good crowd. And NHRA was trying to show that they could do the racing with the social distancing and the mask measures, and they did. They did a really good job. All the fans were there, and a family came down from the pair of teachers from Wisconsin. 3 guys came down from New Jersey. I mean, it was just awesome. The amount of love in Indiana, it was way cool. The Yugoslav, the father son, they came down. They own auto service centers from northern Indiana. They drove down, and everyone came by and gave us a real good warm reception. And we found a cool bar near the racetrack, Spikes. If anyone's ever in Brownsburg, Indiana, go in there. That bar was so awesome, and a bunch of people from the bar came to the second race and watched us, and they hung out for a little bit. It was cool.
So are you guys going back to Indy next month?
No, we're going to sit this one out. We're going to focus on the U.S. Nationals. I got to spend a lot of money between here and there, and I'm not going to have, I just won't have the time.
Yeah, it's a long haul for you.
Yeah, 2,058 miles.
Mm.
But,
so now
it was a great drive.
So now,
Go ahead.
what would you consider to be the milestones that you've reached so far in your drag racing career?
No, geez, going to Indy so far, you know, every time we run the car, something good happens.
Moving from nostalgia to Big Show, that would be a big milestone.
Oh, that was huge. Just getting the car. It was a proud moment when we had the chassis certified. We got the car tech. You know, we did all the stuff we had to do. The one thing, this is kind of stupid, but I'm a car geek. We set the chassis up with a bubble level and a tape measure. And the car went straight down the track every time. I kind of geek out. I'm old school. I don't have scales and all the bitchin' technology. I just do it like the guys who did it back then did. There's a couple things I'm going to change on the car that I need to update, but real happy with the way the chassis performed.
Now, throughout your drag racing career so far, Alex, have you had any accidents or close calls at all?
Yeah, I hit the wall when I was licensing in Las Vegas. It put a cylinder out, and it happened so fast you couldn't even react. It was like chasing a 2-year-old, like when my kids were little.
Right.
Like, oh my God, how did this happen so fast? Got the header, got the body a little bit. Had a fire in that front engine dragster I told you about. I torched the cylinder head one time, and that was pretty amazing. There's 2 types of funny car drivers: those who have been on fire and those who have not. And I'm trying very careful to be good to the gods because I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Dusty Rose had that big accident.
Yeah, that was horrible. Burnt his suit, the helmet, and everything.
Yeah. So now, you ready for a few fun questions now?
Sure.
Outside of drag racing, do you have any other hobbies?
Water skiing and snow skiing and playing the guitar.
Yeah. No fishing, hunting, nothing like that?
Nah, I grew up water skiing on the Colorado River, and if I could sit there and drink beer and water ski, life would be great.
If you were able to find a time machine and go back in the time, would you do anything differently with the drag racing career?
No. Do the same.
All right, now if you and your wife and family have time to go on vacation, what's your favorite vacation getaway?
Kanapani Village in Maui, and on the island of Maui in Hawaii.
Nice. All right, what's your favorite food to eat, Alex?
Oh, man. I like all of it. I'm a foodie. I love sushi. I love Mexican food. Growing up in Southern California, you know what? I got to pick one. There's something called a cucumber roll at my favorite sushi restaurant in Orange here, Tabby G. They do a cucumber roll that's amazing. So I'm going to have to say sushi.
Now, does your wife cook?
No, I'm the cook in the family.
All right, what's your best dish to make?
My wife really loves when I make I make homemade salsa. My wife loves that, and she likes when I'll do the shrimp rancheros. It's a Mexican dish with everything from the garden. My wife really loves that, and that's something I like to cook.
All right, what's your favorite beverage?
Coors Light.
How about non-alcoholic beverage?
Iced tea.
All right, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Talladega Nights.
All right, I thought you were gonna say American Graffiti.
American Graffiti was rad. That's the top 10.
Favorite kind of music to listen to?
80s rock and roll.
Yeah, AC/DC, Van Halen, all that good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Motley
Metallica,
Crue.
love
Yeah.
it all.
Nothing like listening to Kickstart My Heart by the Crew to get your blood pumping for drag racing, man.
Always a staple item in the playlist.
Or
and also too, yesterday was Slash's birthday, so I got to give a shout out to Slash. Happy birthday! I just figured I'd say that.
or the song "Fuel" by Metallica. That'll get you going too.
Yeah, I love Metallica.
Now, how long you been playing guitar now?
Since high school.
So you any good?
I'm tone deaf and out of key. I can only strum the chords, and when I started to learn how to weld, that's when I stopped playing. I grew up. I wanted to be a musician or a drag racer, and the irony of it all is Stephen Percy from Rat said he wanted to either be a musician or a drag racer. It just turns out he made it in the music business. So, but I've got my Les Paul. I hopped up my Fender Strat and Telecaster. And whenever I'm alone and the kids aren't in the house, I'll crank it up and try anything I can to play a little Motley Crue and some Guns N' Roses.
So you never played in any bands?
Yeah, I did. I had a band in high school called Soul, and it was the grunge era, and it was just a blended of music we would play.
So what do you think about the Joe Walla band?
I love Joe Walla. Joe Walla's great.
Yeah, great band and great supporter of drag racing right there.
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
He is. Every time we do the shows, it was mostly drag racing. I wanted to get on and do a segment before he stopped and do one on music. I mean, just that would have been cool to do a show dedicated to the history of music and the punk rock in Southern California and the evolution. Starting from the circle jerks and who went where and the evolution. I try to teach my kids the difference between the mods and the different music genres. Duran Duran, how it turned from pop and the different genres.
Yeah. Now, what was your favorite cartoon growing up as a little kid?
Oh man, I like it was DuckTales. It was the Huey, Dewey, and Louie, the nephew.
Right.
I really like DuckTales. That was one of my favorites.
Now, when you're at the track for a day of racing, how's your eating habit? Do you eat regular, or do you eat very light and wait till the races are done when you're there?
Yeah, on race day when I drive, it's pretty much I'll have a banana or oatmeal or something in the morning, and all grains. Whether it's nerves or whatever, I really don't eat much. But when that last pass is done, that's when it really starts to set in, and I get hungry. Marcy teaches PE. She's a health nut, so she's always making sure we have plenty of energy bars and the right stuff. But really, it's just light oatmeal and water.
All right, now what's been one of your most embarrassing moments on the start line that you can remember?
When I had my front engine dragster, this car that had an Enderley fuel injector on it, and Ralph Gore, he worked with Dale Armstrong and Daryl Gwynn back in the day. He helped me set it up. We had the injector. What happens is the injectors would ice up from the velocity of air, and the air bleeds on the nozzles, if you don't clean them, they'll build up a little bit of dirt. So it'll look like a little zit, and it needs that air to idle properly. So what I do is I go do a burnout, and for 2 years I chased my tail with this car. The injector would freeze up and it'd kill the motor. The crew would run out, push it back. Well, the motor would be so hot, the ice would melt. So the car would fire back up, and that first time was the worst.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, now what would you consider to be the fondest memory of your drag racing career?
I went when I had the black dragster. We went to the semifinals at the March meet in 2002, I think it was. It was the vintage A fuel, so it was blown alcohol or injected nitro. A lot of the guys were running the big Hemis, and you had to run the 6-gallon pump on alcohol. And I had the little Chevy, so I had a 200-pound weight break. And I beat, oh man, he's still, I'm drawing a blank. I went to the semis, and that was the coolest thing. And my brother, my buddy Eric from growing up, the girl I was dating at the time, we were just out there being screwballs, you know. We had 2 cases of beer in a toolbox, and that's all you needed to run an alcohol car at the time. And we just had fun. We ran the thing in Sonoma. We took that thing anywhere and everywhere I could. And I just got out of college and had my first job, and racing that and going to the semis at the March meet, you know, over a Chevy that could. That was truly an honor.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Yeah. Really don't. I guess my pet peeve is people who have pet peeves. I'm pretty easy going. I'm easy going on. You know, with everything going on in the world today, I'm just trying to be nice and be a better person. Someone's going to cut me off while I'm driving, and so be it. Maybe they got diarrhea and have to get home. Or maybe they got a piece of ass waiting for them. But yeah. I just try to be kind, humble and kind, you know.
So, for people to follow you, what would be the best way to Hot for Teacher racing page on Facebook?
Yeah, the racing page, hotforteacherracing.com, and Hot for Teacher Racing on Instagram. And do a lot of promotion on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel where we do just behind the scene, the pits, the car services. You know, I geek out on the drag racing, and I always try to put stuff out there that I think people like me would like. I mean, my brother did carbon fiber work on the one body. That series is on there, and setting up the clutch. And I'm going to do one with the Indy, do a video Indy recap, and the YouTube is always a good one too.
You have any final words or shout-outs?
Nah, all I can say is peace and love, and that's it. And thank you for your time to be on the show. It was an honor to be here.
Don't you want to thank your wife?
I probably should thank you, Marcy. I love you. Thank you to my team, crew chief Kevin, and everybody. And again, happy birthday, Flash. I doubt I'll ever meet him or he'll hear this, but I'm a huge fan. So
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck with the year with the drag racing.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. We'll do another one in the future, man.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks again.
And keep rocking and rolling, man.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.